Hi, this is Kim from Kimberly Scott Science. I am just going to do a run through of our Science Journal Edible Notebook templates. So if you have purchased the bundle, you will find pretty much every page referred to on here. And then if you purchased parts of it, just read the YouTube description below and we have a listed timestamp to help you find those. And if you do not have this, but you're interested in purchasing it, again, just look at that YouTube description. And I'm just going to give you a little tutorial of everything. So what I use these for is I put them in paper 3-pronged folders, and they are fantastic that way as a special teacher. They're not too bulky. I find they don't tear out. The kids also have pockets in those folders. You can put them in binders and use them in your own way too, but this is how I use them and I find it works really well. And they're used for like a 6 to 8 week long unit. So you'll see this is the cover. So the cover is included with every parts of that. It lists the topic. You have 2 pages with the essential question or the driving question, because you can see them referred to that way. So this is really for those units where everything is based on that question. You're referring back to it throughout the unit. So this would be a 3rd grade unit with stormy skies, and the essential question are what are patterns in the weather? And so everything in the unit is going to be helping them learn stuff to answer that question. I include a my doodle space at the bottom. Usually when the kids fill this out, some of them start drawing clouds, things about the weather, and they add in things that they know. Sometimes I'll tell them to write something they learned in that doodle space. And if you want to as well, you can open the Google Slides version and you can type in the topic and type in the question if you would prefer it typed versus your students handwriting it in. Then we've also included a My Thoughts page. This is just questions we have about the topic, which could be done at the beginning. Sometimes I'll tell the kids if it's not a good time to ask questions, write your questions there so you don't forget. And then there's a list of places for kids to put new words they are learning. So that is very helpful. And then the next section is the prior knowledge pages. So these are those pages, the anticipatory set to get kids engaged. That includes a KWL that is vertical. So it's a little more narrower for writing, but you might like that better because it's that traditional KWL, and the kids are going to write down what they know. What do you want to learn about the topic, and what did you learn? So if you were doing that driving question, I know clouds are water. And then what do you want to learn? So then whatever questions the kids want to learn. Usually I'll have the kids do like 3 to 5 things they already know. And then sometimes I will have them do it in groups. Like maybe I'll give them 2 or 3 minutes on their own. Then I'll give them 2 or 3 minutes or more in their group, and then we'll do it as a whole class. And then I find we really start to draw out that prior knowledge. And with these pages, this is something where you would refer back to it throughout your unit, or you would refer back to it at the very end and list everything you learned. So I usually have a day at the end of my unit where we go back through our journal pages that we have not completed and those things where we have to write what we have learned. And then I have also included in here a horizontal version. So I will show that. So this is the KWL where it's horizontal, gives a little more space. And it also allows the kids to maybe draw pictures with what they already know. So you might find that a little more useful with the younger kids who are still printing their letters really big. And it has all the same sections. And then if you've never used a clues chart, clues charts are wonderful. This talks about what I already know. What am I learning? Um, what is your evidence? What are new things we're wondering about? And then what are the concepts and vocabulary we've learned? So these are fantastic. Same thing. You're going to write that driving question at the top or whatever question. And you can use this throughout the whole unit. We've also included a PNG of this. So if you wanted to make a printout that was bigger or you wanted to project it on the board, put it in something else, you can. This is great to project on the board and then have kids bring sticky notes up and put sticky notes in the area, and that will keep track of everything you're learning. And then you just refer back to it at the end of class. You take 2 or 3 minutes and say, is there anything we need to put in here? So you'll see here, if you're doing the weather patterns, I am learning dust is needed to make a cloud. So that's what they're learning. And then what evidence do they have? In our unit, the kids make a cloud in a bottle. So then here the child would write, I made a cloud with dust and there was no cloud when we did not use dust. So that would be their actual evidence. So everything would correspond to that. And then if they have things that they are wondering about, how cold is it in the atmosphere? How big are clouds? Any questions? And this one you can go back to one day and just have a day where the kids do research on those things. And then here you can write down words like evaporation, water cycle, and different things that they are learning. Clues charts are really fantastic for the new way that we teach science. This is a My ABC brainstorming page. I will use this at some of the beginning units just to get the kids interested in the topic and for them to realize that they do already know a lot. And I will do it in groups. So I will do it as a rally table where they might have just one page and they pass it and they write a word and then they pass it and then they write another word and they pass it. And I also will do it where it is in physically in their notebook. They get a few minutes on their own, then they see what their group members came up with it, and then we talk about it as a class. I also will revisit this at the end, and the kids will come up with even more words so that they can really see how much they learned in the unit. So that is the first part of the bundle. The next section is the vocabulary one. So if you have the vocabulary, this has several creative ways to work on that, because with the vocabulary, we really want to make sure that kids can explain it in their own words, that they truly understand it and they're not just memorizing a definition. So the first one, though, however, is just that basic glossary of words. You write the word down, they write the definition, and they give examples. So I thought it was good to still have that because sometimes we still have some of that traditional teaching in there. And so these would all be words for that third grade cloud unit. This one is really fun. Vocabulary discovery sentences. I do this all the time at the beginning of the unit and kind of throughout every time we're starting something new and there's a few new vocab words. They write the vocabulary word here. Then it has possible sentence and real meaning sentence. The possible sentence is we haven't learned the word yet. I'm going to try to write a sentence using the word. So if they don't know what it means, it's going to end up being a funny sentence. And that's what I usually tell them. Kids have a hard time because they're afraid they'll make a mistake. There's no right or wrong with that. They're just trying to see how they can use it. So the real meaning sentence is where now we've studied clouds. Now I'm going to write an even better sentence than this possible sentence that actually shows the meaning of the word. And we would do that at the end of the activity or at the end of the unit, and it will show learning. So here, cloud, the cloud looked dark. The water condensed to form a cloud. Now I can see growth. Oh, he understands. Evaporation, they can change the ending. He evaporated into thin air. Okay, no, he knows disappearing, but I'm not sure if he quite understands what evaporation is. The puddle evaporated into the air. After the activities, look at the growth. Condensation. I hope condensation does not hit my house. That tells me, okay, I'm not sure if he really knows what condensation is. And then we do our unit, and the sentence changes to the water on the grass was from condensation. We learned about dew, and now I know that he has increased his comprehension. And it's just really fun for the kids. Vocabulary Discovery Foursquare is great. I really like it when we're doing research too. So you put whatever word or concept it is in the center. They would write the definition, characteristics. Since we've been studying clouds, they might be able to write a definition just based on the experiment we did that is correct. Here they can describe, we did an experiment on it. And then here would be examples. Maybe there was a reading passage that we did with examples. And then here, when it got to a little bit more higher order thinking, now we're going to give non-examples. And so that is fantastic because then you can really start to see that they understand it better and they understand smoke and a cloud are different. Here's another example. We put different things there. Hurricane, again, write the definition. Here, use it in a sentence. So again, can we apply that new word and use it correctly? Write a synonym, typhoons. Write an antonym, a sunny day. So again, that's helping them to understand it better, and then draw a picture because you have these kids that are visual, and it just gives another way for them to look at it. Also great for research it as well. So it's just better ways to help them understand it than just memorizing a definition. Vocabulary switch is a fun one. This is where they're going to try to come up with words that mean the same thing, a synonym, right? But they're going to try to think of silly words and serious words, and they have to put them on this line. So the silliest words are to the left, the more serious words are to the right. So you see here we have evaporation. A serious word would be evaporation. Middle words might be gone, disappears, water, sun's heat. Silly words might be disappearing act, sky drink, poof. Escaping water, vaporization over here would be a more serious word. So great group activity, great whole class activity. They can revisit it at different times and see if they've come up with new words. And again, it's getting to think about what it means. So evaporation, hiding water. What do you mean by hiding water? They can explain that and you can go, oh, okay, they understand what evaporation is. So I hope you will find that page fun. Great whole class thing. We also included a PNG of this in the file so that you could project it on the board easily as well, and the kids could put sticky notes up there. Our next section is that pause and reflect or exit tickets. So this is great as ways to assess. I know as a special teacher, it's really hard to assess and you have a ton of students. Now we have so much social and emotional learning, and this could help with that for them to be able to reflect what is going on in class. So there are 4 different versions on here. You can cut them in half and make them traditional exit tickets and they hand them to you out the door, or they're set to be able to hole punch in that folder and you have all 4 there, and you would just pick maybe like 4 days during your unit where they get to do a pause and reflect on the day. All the questions are a little bit different, so there's some fun ones in here, like create an emoji to show how you felt in class today. On a scale of 1 to 5, how hard was today's topic? What was your least favorite part? Is there anything you would need more help with? Is there anything you would change about class today? What word describes how you felt? And that's going to help them remember what you did as well. Read and react is another great reflection thing that we use during our readings. Again, it's hard sometimes to fit in those readings when I see the students once a week. And so usually we will read passages together. I'll read a little bit and I'll stop and I will say react. And the kids will write whatever reaction and whatever thought is on their mind. And my kids, as they get good at this, they love read and react. They can draw pictures. They can say, ooh, I find this boring. They can say, I didn't know this. I wonder what this word means. This word is hard. I really like this. I found this interesting. Just whatever they're thinking of. Some of them, it'll take them a while. So we'll do a reaction. A couple students will share their reaction. Then I'll read a little bit more and we'll do another reaction. And that helps the kids that are kind of stuck to learn how to do it. Then we have activities that involve like demonstrations and working on observations and inferences. So I showed over here just a little experiment I will reference. So here they put the observation using the 5 senses. Here they put their inference. So you might have the can with the ice. There are drops of water on the can, referring to the outside of the can. And then their inference would be the can is leaking. Then they watch it a little bit more, or maybe I add some salt to it, and then they would write another one. Describe the demo challenge. So this is a fun little wordplay activity. How would a blank describe the demo? So the teacher would perform the demo, or you would have it set up in the middle, and then they would describe how would a baby describe it. So if you were looking at this, what would a baby say? Maybe a baby would just go, ooh. How would a 2-year-old describe it? How would a 5-year-old, an 8-year-old, a teacher, and an adult? So you'll see here for the 2-year-old, they might say wet. A 5-year-old is going to increase what they say, drops of water. An 8-year-old is going to get a little more specific. Drops of water are dripping. A teenager is going to be much more specific. So water is condensing on the outside. And then an adult's going to be even more specific. So we're just trying to get them to think differently and try to pull out those vocabulary words and to help create discussion. So you could do this as a group. Each group gets to think of one. You could do it as a whole class. They could do it individually, but it will fit right in a notebook. And then we included 2 versions of this. So the second version includes you. How would they do it? The teacher, a scientist, a parent, a sibling or other relative, and then 6, a blank line where they could fill it in for themselves. So again, it's just a way to really get them thinking, and then you can do this along with that observe and infer, and the students are really going to get a lot of opportunities to talk about what's happening. We also included it for pictures. So pictures are really common to do. So you'll see here's a picture from a hurricane. This house survived the hurricane. Really nothing else around it did. So they would look at that picture and then they're going to describe that picture as a baby, 2-year-old, 5-year-old, all of those. Same thing if you want to use this page, they're going to describe that picture as you, a teacher, a scientist, a parent, and someone else. So it's just a fun way to help that discussion go and to really get them to look at that picture in deeper thought as to what is happening. And then here's how I put these folders together. I integrate it with all my units. It helps to give me good flow in my teaching. It also helps me to know where I left off at. So before a unit, I will go through and look at what I'm going to do for the whole unit, what pages I want with it. And I'm teaching so many classes that I know when I meet with that class the next week, we go, where did we leave off on our folder? Here's the experiment I have. And I can keep track better. And then the kids have a place where all the information is there so they can search through and look at it while we're doing experiments. So here you'll see I've put the title page. We're going to start our Stormy Sky unit with my ABC brainstorming. Then we're going to do a whole clues chart because this one is a different question. What causes clouds to form? So throughout the unit, we're going to be learning everything about clouds, and we're going to post it up on the board for everybody to see, and they can also write their own things in as a group. Then we have our vocabulary discovery sentences. So I might start with three words, and then I will add more. I will probably use more pages. And then I've already included in here, let's see if she turns the page here. I've already included in here the pause and reflect. So I know for this, maybe I'm going to do 4 throughout the unit. Maybe it's a 6-week unit. 4 of them will do a pause and reflect before they leave, and I have the pages there. This is a science show and tell, which is a product that I have. I'm going to do a demonstration of hairspray cloud, ice in a can, and heavy newspaper, and I will do those at different days in the unit. And I might do describe the demo challenge for the first one, and so I'm going to do hairspray cloud, and then they're going to describe it as each of those. And then here's an activity I also have, which is where did the water come from? So that actually deals with that ice in the can. We're going to do that activity. So the students will do the lab in class. Then what comes with it is also the reading passage. So after the reading passage, I include the read and react. So there's the reading passage. The read and react is right there. So I know when we get to that, that's what we're doing. We also have an anchor chart. I could go back and use some of those other pages to go with the anchor chart. So now I've given them a really good base and a good introductory, and now they're going to have a formal investigation. This is a cloud journal you can find in my store, and they're going to do a formal investigation on creating clouds and pressure. So now they've had all this work with it. Now I'm going to give them this vocab word, and I might even let them do a little bit of research with it. And then we're going to do a vocabulary switch because we increase the pressure for that lab. What are some other words we can think of for pressure? Then I have in here, this is another journal that I have. This is for creating your own experiments. So now I might say, okay, how can we create another experiment on making clouds? And then they would create their own experiment. And then I would include a STEM challenge at the end. So that is just an example of how I would use the pages. I don't use all of them every time. I do mix and match them a little bit, and I kind of pick the ones I know that go well with that unit and for the particular class I have, because I do have classes that just need some different things. So I hope you find this useful. Please make sure you check out the Google Slides because you can type all the information ahead of time as well to give to your students. So if you do not have this, you can purchase this. Just go to KimberlyScottScience.com, and that is my blog, or you can go directly to our TPT store to look for it. If you have any other questions, feel free to message us on our Q&A page on TPT. So I hope you found this helpful. Thank you.